Hi everyone. I am Luigi Di Labrador together with my group mates Aiza May Animyon, Luis Caballa, Mark Baculi, and Winnie Ocado Jr. So today we will discussing about the key concepts in basic microeconomics. So microeconomics helps us understand how people and businesses makes decisions about limited resources, production, and cost. In this video, we will explain each concept clearly and give simple examples to help you understand. So, microeconomics is the branch of economics that studies how individuals, households, and businesses make decisions about using limited resources. It looks at how these decisions influence the supply and demand of goods and services, which in turn affects prices and production.
Key concepts. What is utility and diminishing marginal utility? So when we say utility, it is the satisfaction we get from consuming a good or a service, while diminishing marginal utility means that the more we consume, the less satisfaction we feel. Like for example, the first bite of chocolate tastes really good, but by the fourth or the fifth bite, it doesn't feel satisfying anymore.
So the second one is the explicit and implicit cost. Explicit costs are actual payments a business makes, such as rent, salaries, or materials. Implicit costs, on the other hand, are the non-monetary or opportunity costs like the owner's time and effort. These help the business know the real cost of running an operation. So the explicit costs are the actual expenses or businesses pays like rent, salaries, and materials. Implicit costs are the hidden or non-cash costs like the owner's time and missed opportunities. Together, they show the true cost of running a business.
So fixed and variable costs. Fixed costs do not change even if production increases or decreases like rent, equipment, and business permits. Variable costs change depending on how much a business produces, such as ingredients, utilities, or packaging materials. So in other words, fixed cost stays the same like rent and equipment. Variable costs change with production like ingredients and utilities.
Number 4. Production and profit relationship. Production increases as more workers are or input are added, but only up to a point. After that, adding too many workers can slow production due to overcrowding or efficiency. Profit is calculated using profit equals total revenue minus total cost. Business earn profit when the money makes revenue is higher than what's spent on production cost. Otherwise, it experiences a loss.
So number 5, factors of production. So the first one is land. This refers to all natural resources and the physical space needed to operate a business. It includes the location of the business and the raw materials it uses. Anything that comes from nature and is used for production falls under land. Second one is labor. Labor is the human effort put into running the business. This includes the workers who provide their time, skills, and energy to produce goods or services. Without labor, the business cannot operate. Capital. Capital includes all man-made resources needed for production. These are tools, equipment, machines, buildings, and technology used to create products or provide services. Capital helps make work easier and production faster. The last one is entrepreneurship. This is the owner who organize everything and make important decisions. They take risks to keep the business running.
So these slides illustrates an application example, specifically focusing on the concept of utility and diminishing marginal utility in a coffee shop. As we can see that the first cup of coffee provides the most satisfaction to customers, while subsequent cups offer less enjoyment. And additionally, it highlights the explicit and implicit costs involved in running a shop. So when we say explicit costs, it includes expenses like rent, salaries, electricity, coffee beans, and cups, while implicit cost is the owner's time, since they have worked somewhere else but choose to manage the shop.
For fixed and variable costs, rent and equipment are fixed and do not change monthly. Ingredients like milk, sugar, and coffee beans are variable because they depend on how many drinks are sold. So, in other words, fixed costs like rent and equipment stay same. And on the other hand, variable costs like ingredients change with sales. And in terms of production and profit, adding more baristas increases output first, but if too many workers share the same space, production slows down. So the shop earns profit when total revenue is higher than total cost. So in other words, more workers equal to more drinks, but too many slows down. So profit when sales is equivalent to cost. Simple as that.
The coffee shop uses all factor of production. Land for the coffee shop, labor for baristas and cashier, capital for the bespoke machine and tools, and entrepreneurship from the owner who makes the risk and manage the store.
In conclusion, to summarize, we discussed utility, cost, production, and the factors needed to run a business. This concept help us how people make choices when resources are limited and how businesses manage their expenses. By understanding the relationships between cost and production, we can see why some businesses expand while others slow down. We also learned how explicit and implicit costs affect profit and why owners must consider both when making decisions. Using the coffee shop example, we saw how this concept appear in the real life situations and influence a business success. Overall, microeconomics give us a clearer and more practical view of how everyday economic activities work. And that's the end of our discussion.